Okay, so we got a model going on here. This is an assignment, an interview assignment that's assigned in IB, Higher Level History of the Americas. And in this assignment, there is an interviewer, and the student is the person being interviewed. The student will adopt the role of one of three possible different countries. They could be the USSR, they could be the US, or they could be the United Kingdom. They will draw their position randomly, but I'm making this video so that students have an idea of what the interview is going to look like. And we got Mr. Powell here. He's going to be the interviewer, so he would be the teacher, and I will take the role of the student. And of course, I don't want to unveil any answers about the three possible countries that students could be, so I will do it from the position of France. So this is kind of Cold War setting, 1946, right after World War II. Different countries have different interests, and the student is to adopt the position of the country that they draw. But again, I will be doing France. So this is supposed to go for about 5 to 7 minutes. We're looking for depth of knowledge, detail, buzzwords, words that might appear on the concept list, definitely details that have been talked about or distributed in readings in class. So here we go.
Alright, Mr. Swanson. Assuming the date is December of 1946, who are you?
I am Léon Blum, president of the French Republic made after World War II.
And what is the hardest part of World War II for you, and why?
Definitely the most difficult part of World War II for the French people was when they were completely destroyed in Europe and occupied by the Nazis. There was, of course, a very famous French resistance movement that was fought by Charles de Gaulle, but we were occupied by the Nazis, so that was the hardest part of the war, and our interests are in containing Germany now that the war has been over and Germany's been defeated. We're very concerned with a future German threat.
And with which other leaders may you find friendship?
Fortunately, France is a very friendly nation. We can relate to both the United Kingdom and the people of the United States. Of course, it was those two nations that liberated France from the Nazis, but we can also get along well with the Soviets. We can relate to Russia as our traditional ally in Europe, going back all the way to World War I, and again in World War II. And in 1944, we even signed a future agreement with Russia that we would not enter any agreements against one another and seek peaceful relations going forward. So we're friends with pretty much everybody.
And with which other leader may you identify opposition?
Externally, we're just really worried about Germany. In terms of Comrade Stalin in Russia, we're positive with him. We're positive about Churchill. We're positive about Harry Truman in the United States. But we're worried about some of the antagonistic relationships between Truman and Clement Attlee in the United Kingdom, the new Prime Minister, and Joseph Stalin. We fear that there might be some type of war between the Soviet Union and the United States or the United Kingdom, and that we would lose sight of containing the real threat, which is a resurrected Germany.
And what are your political and economic beliefs at this time?
So the French people are a republic. We have a parliamentary system. We have a president. And we support the idea of democracy and that people should choose their own form of government. We currently have a coalition government in France, and the Communist Party is actually a very active member of that coalition. They have about 30% of the seats. We believe that the French people have chosen them as one of the parties that they want to represent themselves, and that it is indeed a French Communist Party. It's not influenced by the Soviets whatsoever. So we believe in a free political system where people can choose their political leaders, and also a capitalist economic model where the consumer decides what products should be purchased.
And how do you believe peace can best be obtained?
That's a fantastic question. And this is where we might disagree with some of our other countries in the alliance. We, first and foremost, like I've said before, believe that Germany needs to be kept weak So we believe that Germany should stay divided. It could be economically reconstructed, but it should be decentralized. What this means is that Germany should not have a strong federal or national government that allows it to rebuild its military and rearm itself. We also believe that France should be given some of the assets that were taken from Germany in the war. Of course, France does get one of the 4 zones that Germany was divided into, but the zone that France gets is the least valuable in terms of coal and iron production, and we believe that the British or the United States and Soviets could help us with some of our reconstruction. We believe that Germany needs to stay weak, and actually I could say even more. I could say that certain areas of Germany, like the Rhineland and the Ruhr, should be separated from Germany permanently, so that Germany is incapable in the future of becoming a military threat, as they have twice in 2 previous world wars.
And what is your opinion of the United Nations?
The United Nations is an excellent opportunity for all of the powers to prevent future threats, such as Germany or another one that could arise. I think that it's also a possible way to avoid conflict between the USSR and the Western states, such as the USA and the UK. I think that the system that's set up, where one nation has a veto power over all of the others, will encourage consensus and prevent antagonism. So France definitely supports the United Nations, supports the construction of the Security Council, supports the membership of all 5 nations in the Security Council, and believes that each member of those 5 should have absolute veto power.
And what is your opinion on the sovereignty of Poland?
This is a tricky one. Because France can understand the position of the Soviets and the fear of Germany that the Soviets and the French have, the French people do recognize Soviet interests in maintaining the land that they gained from Poland in 1939 and shifting Poland's borders to include Eastern Germany, which was decided at Potsdam in 1945. So Poland should be a sovereign nation, but it might not be the nation that was thought of in 1939. Of course, it should be a nation where the people of Poland choose their leaders. It shouldn't be a nation in which tyranny reigns, but the security concerns of Russia need to be understood.
And what is your opinion of the defeated Russia? What should be done with it? Or excuse me, defeated Germany. What should be done?
The defeated Germany. So, like some of the things I've said before, Germany should be it can be economically reconstructed. It shouldn't be that all the Germans need to live in this perpetual misery. The reparation problem that was produced after World War I in the 1920s should not be done again. But certain measures, usually we're referring to territorial adjustments, need to be done to Germany to prevent them from rising again to a power. So again, the Rhineland, which is the area of Western Germany, should be separated from Germany, and Germans should not be allowed to move an army there or use it as a passage of invasion. And also the Ruhr, which is really the part of Germany that is rich with coal and iron production, that area should be also separated from Germany and made politically independent. An area that, since it's such a concentrated area of resource wealth, it's really too valuable and too powerful to be in the hands of any one nation. So that was about 7.5 minutes. Didn't ask all the questions, because I think there's 18 questions or something like that. I misnumbered them. I think I misnumbered them to 20. But that's basically how it goes. Not all the questions are going to be asked, but looking to get out some details. So some detail there, obviously, like naming the other powers, naming, from the French position, specific regions of Germany that the French believed should be taken away from Germany, such as the Rhine land and the Ruhr. Yeah, I don't know. What other details came out?
You talked about the democratic nature of the French Republic, its coalition government, and you talked about the position of the United Nations, the importance of the veto, bringing consensus.
The Security Council, the voting, the domestic politics of the nation. In France's case, that there is a big, powerful communist minority in the coalition government. a lot of these proper nouns. That's kind of how we're going to unearth the detail. So, and recognizing that there's a difference in position on some of these, that there's actually some issues that are open to interpretation, like the issue of Poland sovereignty, that Russia and the United States have different opinions, and the French have their own position, kind of like a compromise. The French have a compromise position between the security interests of the Soviet Union and the democratic interests of the United States. So hopefully this works as a model. I'll be interviewing you soon.